All right. I will set this up to record. All right, let's let some people in. Cool. All right. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Excellent.
I don't want to work
Got the usual suspects coming in here. How's it going, Mr. Spencer?
Good, brother. How are you?
Good, man. How's Neil doing?
Excellent, brother.
Cool. Cool. All right. Jackson, are you going to stay hidden or are you going to join us?
Jackson's on.
Jackie. He doesn't want to talk.
Huh.
All right. Cool. So we had a big week in our agency. I know I shared with you guys last month. The reason we didn't do the call last week is we have the mastermind that I'm a part of, the Traffic and Funnels, based out of Nashville. We had an event here. It was really cool. There was a lot of learning, a lot to take in. And I'm going to share some of that with you guys. I'm not going to share a lot of it on this call, but we're going to jump into it in the group. I'll put some stuff together and kind of give you guys the highlights. Not everything. I'm a little hesitant to share everything with you guys just because I don't want you guys to get sidetracked. Some of this stuff, I don't want this to be a shiny object for you guys, right? So some of this stuff are things that you guys aren't ready for yet, but you know, having an extra tool in your back pocket can always be useful, right? So Eugene, what's up, Slash? You got your Halloween attire on, dude. I love that. It's killer. Or maybe that's just
I thought it was the Halloween meeting today.
What's that?
I thought it was the Halloween meeting today.
It should have been, man. Do you remember last year on Halloween?
Huh?
Do you remember last year on Halloween when me and Gabe were dressed up? Did you watch that one?
Hold on. No, I don't remember.
That was pretty good.
Were you
one.
dressed up last year?
Yeah, it was. I wore an embarrassing costume. We'll forget about it. It's cool.
Well, I'm proud of my costume, so
Your costume's killer, man.
it.
Right on. I actually saw one of my friends was on a plane with him the other day and was like posting his picture. That he actually flew Southwest, which is kind of crazy, but right on. Okay, cool. All right, let's get into some wins here. And then I've got a special guest here for you guys. I'm excited to share this with you. A little bit different call today. I'm not going to spend much time on the actual software, but we're going to get in and it's going to be more like a value call here. So first, let's get some wins. Let's do some rapid fire. Who's got some wins? Neil, what do you got, buddy?
Quick one. I think you had mentioned it before, and I had done it. I have different contractors in one town, and I kind of said, hey, if you ever get this, let me know, and I'll pass it on to this other contractor. So I kind of and I got a lead from one contractor for another, turned into a $60,000 plus job, and the contractor's going to have me go with them. It's going to be probably about 100,000. So that's a
Great.
good. Then he sold another one that day that I was talking with him for 60,000, so 160,000 in that day. And we're starting off. I'm just starting off with this guy. So
right. That's awesome. It's you make a strong case for him signing up for you long term when you can deliver stuff like that right out of the gate, right?
Yeah, he wants me to go with him on this one quote or whatever. They've already agreed to 60,000, but they want to upgrade a ton of other stuff. That
right.
He said bring it up to 100.
It's certainly good to build that relationship. Just be wary of like letting him know that, hey, this isn't normal. I'm not going to join you on all these quotes. I've got my own business here, right?
No, yeah, we've gone up and down that. But he's we weren't at a percentage yet. Okay.
Okay.
Because get a job.
Sorry there. I got him muted. Sorry, Jimmy. I muted you out there, buddy.
Unusual though. Like he had a job that was just under $1 million. He said if I had gotten him that, he could have threw me easily 30 grand. So it's going to be a sliding scale. And he said, if it's all right with you starting out, let's on these ones under 100,000, can we do them at 5%? And I said, yeah, that'll work. You know, to start,
Yeah.
Well, we look at it because 5% of 180 grand, you know, that adds up.
Right.
And
right.
He
That's
also,
good, man. Congrats on that.
he
Very
also,
cool.
if you don't mind, I get paid 50% down. I'd rather just pay you it up front, so I don't have to worry about it at the end. I wasn't gonna argue. about that.
Yes, I'm cool with
Let me
the
hear
upfront.
that. I know, so.
Right on. All right. Anybody else? Who's got wins? Who else? Nobody?
I've got a couple. I've got a couple wins.
Devin,
Some great wins.
what's up, brother?
Yes. Life's moving. Updates, just easy to address with everyone here. Mom's out of the hospital. Mom is out of physical therapy. Mom is taking, she's getting in-home therapy now for the stroke that she had, but she is expected to make a full recovery on that end.
That's great, man.
Got approved for the house that we're going to be moving to next month within the last week. So just not as much business wins, but yeah.
Hey, I mean, the personal stuff is really, I think it's almost always more important. Like the business stuff makes our personal lives better, right? So personal stuff, if you can go right to that, that's awesome, man. Especially having your mom back in the house. I know that was a scary moment for you, man. And I'm glad everything's moving in a good direction.
Yes.
Seems like the best
Yes,
outcome
thank
from
you.
where you were.
Yeah. It's that's exactly what it is.
Cool. All right. We got Laurent Bonjour, our French Canadian friend there. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good to see you. Cool. So do we have any more wins to share? Nope. All right. You guys, I want to encourage you. All right. We got another Halloween costume, man.
I threw on my
dropping the
white
ball.
rabbit hat.
I
It
love
was a
it.
full-blown costume on Saturday, but Joseph made me sew this one just for you. So small win for me. As some of you guys know, one of our lead gen sites turned into a full-time business for us with painting. We've got 2 crews now. Our goal is to grow to 8 crews. We're now a woman-owned government contractor, all of that stuff like tucked in. It's challenging, but things are humming along. And on the lead gen side, of course, I've joined a BNI group. I've been in about a year. Super valuable. If you guys have the time or willing to put in the work, BNI is awesome. Window washer and another BNI group around here. We were just talking about different lead gen sites I had. One of them was junk removal. She said, hey, I just bought a trailer. I was like, let me pair you with them for, a couple of weeks and just see, because it's still fairly new. It's not really ranking and producing too well. Within the first 3 days, I think over a weekend, she got 4 leads, one of which was too big for her to handle. She passed to someone else. 1, she missed the call, and 2, she called me 3 days later on the next Monday and said, I want to pay. This is awesome. And what else do you have? So
Amazing. That's so cool. I know that you guys you're kind of like in that no man's land for just not even that long ago, a couple months ago, right?
Oh my God. It's yeah.
I want you guys to take note of how quickly things can change, right?
So
Some of
fast.
you guys that are feeling discouraged and you're up against it, listen to Amy. She was just on the other side of it. A lot of times we don't realize how close we are to really breaking through. And I love hearing stories like this because, there's a pattern that happens for a lot of people where you're going to kind of go down this pathway for a little while and you don't get success as quickly as you think. And then you hop over to this one and you quit. And then you do that for a little while and you end up not really having anything. In the end, you're just bouncing around. And stories like this are what you need to hang on to, because Amy didn't know this was coming a few months ago. She didn't know that she was this close. And turns out now she owns a business and things are starting to take off. So that's awesome. Really exciting to see that, Amy. Congrats on those. Cool. So our buddy Jeff, he woke up, he was staying with me in Nashville here. He came to the event that we were at this last week, and he booked himself a very inconvenient flight. Woke up, I think he had to leave here at 4:30 so that he could fly and he's going to a men's retreat, and he had to fly to get there early, and then his plane got delayed and now he's not going to be on the call. So sorry, buddy. We'll see you on the next one. He wanted to be here. We got a lot to share on the event, but I don't want to go into it too much because I have a guest on the call that I think is going to add a lot of value to you guys. So when you guys get outside of this world, I know that a lot of us came from like one or two different training groups where we learned, the basics of how to run this like lead generation business. And that's great. But one of the things that's important is for you to kind of spread your wings and look for these other opportunities. And as I've shared on the, previous calls for the last couple of months, I've done that. And I've joined this other group with a lot of high level people in it. And through that, you meet these people who are, we kind of learn how to run this like one type of business. And we learned it from a lot of it from the technician standpoint of like, here's how to do the exact steps of ranking a website, building a website, getting the leads, landing a client. But there's all these other, when we do that, we're no longer just the technician, right? We're no longer just the person building the website. We own a business. There's a lot of things, especially as you scale, that you're going to run into. Even before you scale, there's some things that you want to get in place, right? So I have someone on the call who he's an expert at the operations side of things, okay? And I've met him through this group, and he's actually, I believe he's been hired or is kind of teaching in a part-time capacity within the traffic and funnels group as a coach, because they saw, his knowledge and his skills, and they wanted to bring him on. So I'm not going to give everything away. We're going to kind of go through. I'm going to talk to him about his background, and we'll kind of lay things out. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to my good friend here, Joshua. How's it going, brother?
What's up? What's up? That was quite the introduction. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll set you up nice, man. Now your job is just not make a fool out of yourself. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I've been on a few Zoom calls in my life, so I shouldn't botch this one too bad.
So Joshua, I think you just spoke at the Ad World conference. Was that today or yesterday?
Yeah. So that was today. Had a growth hacking track on the Ad World conference for this year. About 70 different speakers and about almost 100K viewers in Ad World. So it's an online event. It's the largest advertising event, online advertising event put on each year. And so really cool. Some really awesome other speakers at that event as well. So it was a really good opportunity to jump on that.
Right. And guys, you don't really get that opportunity if you're Joe Blow. So, obviously if Joshua is getting that opportunity, this guy knows what he's talking about. But let's hear about how you learned this. I know that you started out kind of in the gym space. You went to school for, I believe you got a degree in exercise science.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that transfer into what you're doing now? What did that path look like?
Yeah, 100%. So, I was part of a very fast growing franchise called Fit Body Boot Camp. And, I went to school because, essentially to get my exercise science degree. And I picked that degree because it was relatively easy, and I've never been the best student. And so for me, it just seemed like a pretty easy path that I could kind of get through and land on my feet and have a job coming out of it. Cause I loved athletics and I loved training. But I ended up landing at the fastest growing fitness franchise in the country, and had the opportunity to work under a pretty awesome CEO that invested heavily into his people. And I just had this curiosity around how we were growing and scaling so fast. When I started at the company, it was about 16 people. And I think I was number 17 on the employee list. And in 2.5 years, we'd grown to 8 different locations within our individual franchise, and about 120 employees across all of those locations. And so, man, I was just so enthralled by our ability to scale quickly. And he just started passing me all the literature he was reading on scaling and operations and how to manage more people, and started sending me to marketing conferences and sending me to all these events that helped me kind of craft my skill into what I essentially transitioned into, which was a chief operating officer position with a startup digital marketing agency. Entered that in 2018 and grew and scaled that to about a 25-person team doing about $4 million in revenue a year, and ended up going under an acquisition back in December of last year. And then after that acquisition, I decided to take a step away from the agency space and consult with agencies on specifically systems operations to, one, help them run more profitably, but also help them undergo their own acquisition down the road if that's what they're wanting. So, and that's kind of how I landed here today. And so,
Right. So your specialty has really become, so going from the gym over into the digital marketing agency, and at the digital marketing agency, you're serving as a chief operating officer for this agency. And now that you've kind of like, you guys got acquired and you've stepped back, and your specialty now is in really working with digital marketing agencies to improve their operations. Is that correct?
correct. Yeah. So essentially what we do is we come in and it's a very wide scope that we cover, but we uncover like maybe 2 or 3 of the biggest pain points within each of the businesses that we work with. And then we just work on fixing one of them at a time. And we start patching some of the leaks in the ship, and we figure out, hey, like, where's exactly our biggest pain point? And then we start building systems around that to help fix it and to help, mitigate loss of clients, loss of teammates, whatever it might be. So there's a very wide scope that we cover. But essentially we're kind of like, repairmen for businesses.
Right. So when you were working with the gym owner guy, right? The CEO of this gym company that was essentially the fastest growing fitness company, or what? I'm sorry, what was the accolade exactly? They were the fastest growing. What?
Yeah, fastest growing fitness franchise in the country.
Okay. So you're working directly with the CEO of that. And if you guys don't know, fitness is a fast growing, ultra competitive industry to be involved in. So to be working directly under the CEO of someone that is leading the charge within that industry, clearly this person has a lot of knowledge. And how, like you said, that he sent you to marketing conferences, he gave you literature. So I know from talking to you, you've recommended several different books, and I would be curious, like maybe you can share some of what you've recommended, as well as what were some of the big turning points, and like, hey, this was what really helped me when I was learning this skill set, because this is a skill set that as you guys build this, whether you're small or big, understanding operations and getting control of this stuff, this is a vital skill, right? This is critical to be able to, like, this is why he's able to go from a startup in 2018 to, what'd you say, $4 million?
Yeah.
And then being acquired, right? It's because the ship has to sail smoothly to be able to produce something like that. So let's hear some of the big learning spaces and what you would do if you wanted to master the skill set, looking back on what you learned.
Yeah, 100%. I'll definitely give you guys some resources here in just a second, but I think it truly wraps around your ability to lead a team. If you have an inability to lead a team, you're not scaling anywhere, unfortunately. And so
Sorry, 1 second, Joshua.
Oh, you're fine.
You want to tell me already?
There we go. Yeah. So, if you guys have the lack of leadership in your organization, you're unfortunately just not going to scale. It truly is, the talent that you bring in and the talent that you can bring up within your organization and delegate to that, creates this ability to have a fast, rapid scaling company. And so it really does, come back to the leadership aspect of what you guys do on a daily basis of, leading the team forward and eventually delegating things off your plate and letting your team run with a lot of the fulfillment aspects of your business, whatever that might be. Because if you can't pass off fulfillment and you can't pass off some of the decisions being made within your organization, you can't go and make, some of the high level decisions that you need to make. And you can't go do the networking and do a lot of the front facing activities that you need to do as a business owner to help you scale, get in the right rooms, get into these masterminds that, you hear Patrick talking about. If you have the inability to do those things because you're stuck doing 40, 50, 60 hours a week of fulfillment, you lose all ability to scale. So like the number one thing that you need to look at is removing yourself from the day-to-day, right? So if you're currently in the day-to-day, okay, well, how do we start delegating some of those fulfillment tasks? And then eventually, once the fulfillment is off of your plate, guess what? You need to be able to delegate the decisions as well. So it's like, it's not up to you to make the decisions. You need to bring in specialists. That's where something like a C-suite would come in. So your chief operating officer, your CFOs, your CMOs, these high level people that are specialized in their craft, chances are they're better than you at those positions. And then they can make high level decisions for you. And guess what? Now this thing cash flows by itself, and it's a much more acquirable business. You'll sell for a higher multiple doing it that way. And then also you'll be able to generate more profit. You'll be able to take that profit and go and apply it to other things, because guess what? You're not tied down to this one business now. You can go and apply this anywhere. You can get into real estate. You can get into e-commerce. You can get into the agency space, whatever it is that you're doing currently. You can go pivot, start another business, start another venture. And then you have this framework that now is applicable to any business that you go start and run. And so that's the starting point. You have to start there. It doesn't matter what tactics you apply, but if you can't get fulfillment off your plate, if you can't get decision-making off your plate, then unfortunately you're capped at your ability to scale. And if you look at any large company today, if you look at the traffic and funnels, if you look at some of the largest agencies in the country, their CEOs and the owners of the business, they're stepped away from the fulfillment. They're stepped away from some of the largest decisions that are made within the business on a daily basis. Okay. So that's a good place to start. Okay. Now, how do we delegate fulfillment? How do we delegate decisions? Of course, there's going to be some systems that you need to put in place. And a lot of times those systems are built in your head, right? Like all of these things, like, exactly the buttons to push, exactly how to run your business and to probably do every single task that needs to be done within your business. So you need a way to capture those systems essentially. And you need the ability to, my favorite way, like I'm not a huge fan of like the traditional SOP of, we're going to get this checklist together and like, it's going to be in a Word document and it's going to be a list view. For me, like I'm a huge fan of doing everything video nowadays, video or audio. Okay. So you're capturing the system. You're not just creating a system, and you capture that system, you put it in an SOP, and you have these video files that you can then translate to the team, and you could show them, if you're doing stuff that's more digital, you could show them the exact buttons that you're pushing, where to navigate to the screen for everything that you set up. Right. And then you can allow your team to come in and show their expertise as well, and be able to start delegating even some of these systems away to people and allow them to bring in their own iterations to these systems. And so when it comes to like designing systems, it does start with, what's inside of your head. But what I always recommend to people is, as you hire people onto your team, that's like the best time to create a system. So it's like, don't go and just like after this call, start creating systems for everything in your business. Look at where you're currently at, look at what you've tried to delegate away so far, and then create a system around that, and then go apply it to the team. And then as you bring people on, you just start to pass things off of your plate, and you pass it off to someone else. And you should create a system. You should show them how to do it before you actually hire that person. So you should have that system in place beforehand. So, and that's pretty much where to start. Okay. And then as far as like resources go, if you guys like consume anything like the book Scaling Up is really great by Vern Harnish. Anything by Mike Michalowicz. Michalowicz is a nightmare to spell. I have no idea how to do it, but if you just type in Mike and then like just start typing out MI, it'll come up.
Right. That was one of the ones you recommended, guys. I personally believe within that series of books, he has that book, What to Fix Next, which will kind of, he wrote that book last. Okay. Fix This Next, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. Fix This Next.
Yeah. So you'll go out and you'll search and you'll see that there's these other ones. And depending on where you are in your business growth and cycle, like one book or another book may be more relevant to you. Yep. So that one can be kind of your guidance counselor in high school is going to tell you where to go, and it will give you an overview, and it has some tools in there to point you in the right direction. Some of this stuff I'm going to share with you guys over the next couple of weeks. There's some tools, but I like Joshua is saying, Fix This Next, I think is a really good starting spot, and that will tell you where you need to go. And it's not like you go there permanently, right? You're going, the way that Mike has it set up is hey, right now we need to focus on sales. And then next we need to focus on like operations. So he has a book called Clockwork, right? So you're kind of like bouncing back and forth between these, depending on what you need within your business. And as you hit different milestones and plateaus in your business, it's a moving target, right? Do you agree with that, Joshua?
Yeah, 100%. You're always going to have, parts of the ship that leak. You're going to plug one hole and another one's going to start leaking. So, it is a consistent, operations is a consistent fix, right? There's never it never is perfect because you're going to hit different problems at different points of scale. Like your business will look completely different than it does, from 5 people to 20 people. And you're going to have different problems, at 5 people versus 20 people. So with that being said, yeah, like the operational side, it's never 100% fixed. Like, unless you're very productized and it's, you have infinite scale. If you have that, you have a very unicorn service or product and you can scale that infinitely. But for the most part, as you hit different levels of scale, you are going to have to, plug different holes.
So Joshua, I know that like a lot of us, we haven't gone through and dissected the different parts of the different parts of the business necessarily. What is operations? It obviously includes fulfillment. Can you give us just kind of a zoomed out overview of the different parts of the business and where operations fits into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you think of like any business from a 30,000 foot view, or if you want to like take it from like a hierarchy view, any business starts at the top with making profit, right? So like that's the main goal. And so when you start creating, divisions of your business and you look at like, okay, like, how does our business actually break down? Well, it breaks down from the top, right? And it breaks down from profit. So and I call them lanes, or also known as swim lanes in like the operational world. Any lane that you guys have in your business needs to be reflected on profit always, of like, how do we make profit from this lane, right? So normally you're going to have 4 lanes in any service-based business. And I think that's mostly what everyone in here is a part of. Normally going to be 4 lanes in any service-based business. The first one being marketing. So marketing being, how are you attracting your lead generation, right? And so if you kind of like envision a piece of paper and you divide your piece of paper into 4 lanes, that first lane is going to be marketing. So how are you generating leads? This could be things like organic content, okay? Organic lead generation. You could do paid media, things like Facebook, YouTube ads. You could do, Pinterest ads. So a bunch of different options there for marketing, okay? You can get on other people's podcasts. We call that borrowed audience, right? You borrow someone's audience to generate leads for yourself by getting on their podcasts. Okay. So like what goes into your marketing lane? Okay. So more of like a 30,000 foot view. We're not talking like specific systems quite yet, but it's really good to get this visual representation of each lane in your business. Your second lane is going to be your sales lane. So taking those leads and converting them into actual sales, right? And that one's pretty straightforward. You have a sales team there, and that's pretty much it. It's, sales is beginning and end of the sales lane. Okay. And then from there, you break it down into your fulfillment. So like what services do you actually fulfill on? Okay. Do you run paid media? Do you build websites? But whatever it is that you guys fulfill on, you have a fulfillment lane. That's probably going to be your largest lane, right? Because those are your services. You're going to want to go really in depth on how you're providing the best onboarding experience, how you are taking that client from that sale to onboarding into fulfillment, and then taking them to the end delivered product. And then lastly, you have like an operational resilience lane is what I call it. Basically, it's like all of like the random stuff in your business that kind of holds it together, right? All the glue that holds all the pieces together. So this is things like, hey, like who's doing our bookkeeping? Like, do we have an outsourced CPA for this? What's the process look like for, our bookkeeping? Do we have a tax strategist that helps us do our taxes? Your HR department would also go in here, which HR department, you don't need to worry about that until you're a very large business. Even at 25 people, we never had an HR department. So last thing that you'd ever bring on, but it's an example of something that would go into operational resilience. And it's basically just like you're hiring, firing, all of those things, how you're managing your team, team experience can go in there as well. So, and those are essentially 4 lanes. And when you break it down to that and you kind of get this 30,000 foot view of your business, you're like, shoot, my business is actually pretty simple. And then what you do is you go and create systems around each of those lanes. And I know it might sound complicated. I don't know if it does or not, but it's when you have a 30,000 foot view, when you have this macro view of your entire business, then you can go and worry about the details, and you can start zooming in and start building systems around just one thing at a time. Because I think one of the most overwhelming thing is thinking about everything in our business that we need to build a system for, and that we need to have a really tidy process. It's just not the case. Like, chances are a lot of the systems, once again, are inside of your head and they're working just fine. Okay. And so for those systems that are working just fine and don't need to be delegated to the team yet, you don't really need a system for it yet. Okay. It's only when you have someone else in charge of that piece that you're trying to delegate that you actually need a system. And this becomes really important.
How do you make that decision of when you're going to move this off to someone else? Like, what do you have like a pecking order of like how this should be done?
I'm a big fan of just getting rid of your weaknesses first. Things that, one, you don't either enjoy doing or you're just not very good at doing. So like, if you're like, I'm not a marketing expert. Like, I hate it. Like, I don't know how to market my own business. Like, lead generation's a pain in the ass for me. Sweet. Like, hire an outsourced marketing team to help you with that. If you're like, I'm the least tech savvy person ever, couldn't even set up a funnel if I tried. That would be something that you'd probably want to outsource. Okay. Cause you need leads.
Right.
And so,
so
it really revolves around what you don't like doing first.
So the idea is basically to kind of be self-aware enough of like where your weaknesses are and like what's holding you back. Where's the bottleneck in your business that is stopping you? So I know a lot of you guys on here you're doing all this stuff yourselves right now. And maybe this conversation can be almost feel intimidating when we start talking about like having 25 employees and like CFOs and stuff like this. Well, Joshua, I believe it's the case that you don't have to have this person hired full time, right? All of these things exist in a fractional nature as well. And you can get them for just a few hours a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the first things that I passed off was my bookkeeping and taxes. So I hired a combination of a bookkeeper and a tax strategist for my business. And I did that almost immediately. It cost me $1,000 a month. And now I don't have to worry about my bookkeeping. I don't have to worry about my taxes. I get reports once a month right on my desk. And it's like, sweet. Like, I have a view of everything that's going on with my business. And, I can pull QuickBook reports as well. So if I ever am curious and want to see stuff, like, I can pull those reports. But it's really nice to have someone balancing my books, because that doesn't sound like something super enjoyable to me, and it's not fun, and I don't want to do that. So that's something I passed on really fast because it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. And, I knew I could pass that on pretty quick. So, yeah. Did I answer your question? I don't even know if I answered it. I think I just went on a rant
absolutely.
there.
You did. And this kind of brings up another point, and I'm trying to put myself, because I'm in a lot different spot than a lot of people that are on this call. Some of these people are kind of like getting started, right? And I'll tell you, as going into traffic and funnels. So Joshua, we met there, right? And I was on a call. A lot of you guys know Caleb. I was on a call with Caleb earlier today. And Caleb and I were talking about like going to masterminds. He's a part of some other big mastermind in Arizona. Caleb's another high-level business owner. And we talked about imposter syndrome. Okay, so imposter syndrome, what he was saying, and I 100% agree with him, is that if you don't put yourself around people that are doing bigger things than you, then this is a feeling that you're not going to have. Okay. And this feeling of imposter syndrome is where you are not ready, or you're not capable. You don't deserve to be around these people. You're some kind of like, in your head, you're thinking that you're some kind of phony for being around these people. And I'll tell you, moving into this group that Joshua is in, all these people are speaking this language. And that was my mindset when I first came in, because I don't have a CFO. I've never thought of hiring a CFO. I don't have a COO. I haven't really even been aware of the 4 lanes of like, we've got, one of the ways that Traffic and Funnels sets things up is they have like client success. So that's like a whole department, right? Where they're making sure that their clients are happy. And they have a financial one, right? And they have operations, and they have marketing, and then they have sales. I think, is there another one, Joshua? I know that I think you're a part of their team now, right?
Yeah.
Is there another piece?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty similar. They have marketing, they got sales, marketing, fulfillment. And for fulfillment, like normally in fulfillment, client success is going to be a part of
success lives, huh?
And sometimes they separate it out into like a separate lane. Like I've seen that done many times because it is a big piece of the company. But like, that's for me, like to keep things simple, I'd keep client success under fulfillment, because
Okay.
it's part of the fulfillment process. Is like, hey, like we want to make sure that they have a really great experience with us. And part of our fulfillment is making sure that happens. So
Right. So when I was going through and I'm interacting with these people and we have a 7-figure business, and then obviously we have the software, and obviously from a number standpoint, when I talk to the people, I kind of feel like I belong in the room, but the language that they were using made me feel like I didn't, right? Like what Joshua was talking about here was foreign to me, and I'm someone that I have a degree in accounting, right? So this is stuff I should know. So as you guys listen to this and you hear this, you have to, you might get that feeling when you listen to it the first time. And I want you guys to know, this is like, if you want to level up and you want to grow your business, putting a structure around it. Like, you don't have to get all this stuff in place. You don't have to hire like a fractional CFO until you're ready, but understanding this and understanding the boxes that exist can kind of help you start to evolve your mental, your mindset as you move through this business of where you're going. And some of this stuff can be scary when you try to hire. Like, we're looking to hire a fractional COO and a fractional CFO in our business. And that's where, like, when I start thinking about this, that's where I start to feel like an imposter, where it's like, man, like, I'm going to actually, this is like a real business now. But we've been a real business for a long time. I just haven't been around the people that structure things in the right way. And you can think like, hey, like, my first thought is I'm not ready for that. But like, maybe I was ready for this a long time ago. And this has kind of been holding us back, right? This has been the reason, like I'm trying to do too many different things. And, I share with you guys the books that I read. I'm studying all kinds of different things. And maybe that's the wrong approach. Like, as the CEO, you should have some base understanding of these different things. And this stuff has to come in time. Like, one of the things that Traffic and Funnels preaches on is sequences is important. Doing things in the right order is very important. Things have to come at the right time. But I want you guys to be aware of this part of the business and kind of like let's stop being so focused on this business model. And let's understand the fact that when we started this business model, we're business owners, and these are the different parts of a business. And if you want to scale your agency, if you want to get to where Joshua was, where he was acquired, or, maybe you don't want to get there. If you want to do $1 million, $2 million a year, some of this stuff is going to need to be in place. And for that to be the case, you're going to have to understand it and get kind of a baseline understanding of how this stuff works. Right. So I think this is really important for you guys to hear. I kind of prepped Joshua. Let's kind of like keep things simple, and let's start with the basic building blocks. So now you guys know the 4 lanes. I think a lot of you guys are struggling from my viewpoint of coaching and having conversations with you guys. I know a lot of you guys are struggling in this fulfillment area. One of the things that Joshua and I hear a lot within the group is that a lot of this stuff comes from a lack of clarity. Right? If you guys don't have clarity on why you're struggling, I think that's your first stop. Like, why am I struggling? Put something in a box so that you can attack it, right? If you're just kind of like, hey, I'm not landing clients, I don't have sites ranking, like, identify your issue and then come up with a strategy. And some of the time it's going to be, let me hire somebody that can help with this, and stop trying to master everything, because you don't see, like, Tesla didn't become Tesla because Elon Musk is in there like turning wrenches, and he's also balancing the books and doing like the aerodynamics of his cars and all, like, he's not doing all that. He's hired experts, right? The famous story of Henry Ford. A lot of you guys know. So Henry Ford I don't think he graduated high school, builds this huge company. And at the time, the newspaper people they wanted to embarrass Henry Ford. He was the new guy on the block, and they bring in these reporters, and their goal is they've got Henry Ford set up, and they're going to ask him these really like sophisticated, complicated questions. And they ask the first question, and Henry Ford presses a button on his desk, and an expert shows up and answers the question perfectly for them. And they ask him another question. So that's the model that I want you guys to get in this, is like, there's a part of this that you guys should be experts and you should have a general knowledge on all these different parts of your business, but hiring somebody like, and I'm not pitching Joshua's service here, but hiring somebody like Joshua to help you maybe just in a fractional and like help you identify the problems in your business and say, hey, this is where you're having issues. Or maybe it's on the finance side. You know, we've had months in our business where we brought in a lot of money and we didn't really make profit because we were so aggressively trying to grow. So having a better understanding of lane number 4, right, of how our profit is being managed and that kind of like financial component, that would have been really valuable. Like maybe we're growing too fast. There's ratios that exist in this stuff where, hey, you shouldn't have more labor than like X percentage, right? There's some like guideline rules. And if you haven't learned those, like it's necessary to either study, which is kind of maybe the long way for some of you guys that are, you know, short on money and long on time, then maybe like studying right now to get a baseline makes the most sense. For some of you guys that want to go faster and you have some money in the bank, your business is producing, I think you're going to find it is a very good return on investment to hire somebody who's got years, decades of experience that can identify a problem with you. And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to bring them on full time. You don't need to hire a full-time CFO to identify for an issue where you could hire, you could hire one for 5 hours a month. And maybe you just do that 1 month. It's almost like a consultant, right? So Joshua, do you have anything to add to what I just talked about here? Am I covering the right stuff?
Well, the number that you were looking for was 30 to 35% as far as your labor.
There you go. See, there's numbers.
As far as your team, you should be paying about 30 to 35% of your guys' total revenue towards labor. It's a good starting point, and a good piece. And if you guys are like struggling with the profit aspect, you know, profit is one of those things that we often neglect, and we always say, well, we're going to just invest in back into the business. Like we love investing back into the business. It's like entrepreneurs' number one phrase that they love using. I'm going to put money back into the business. Man, like there's power in taking profit as well, and having a nice little slush fund that you can use for a rainy day or when leads dry up from a certain source. You know, you have you know, your profit to kind of lean back on if you ever do need it. It's like a nice little safety net for you. So if you guys struggle with taking profit, just start small. Take 1% to 5% of your top line revenue and just store it away. Put it in a profit account, and then once a quarter, figure out what you want to do with it. Like, you know, for us, like we do a couple cool different things. We donate 10% of our profit to an organization called Charity Water. And then from there, we do a 10% profit share with all of our teammates. And then from there, you know, we talk with the team. Hey, like, you know, we have an extra 5K in our profit account. What do we want to use this on? We need new desks. Sweet. Like, let's get everyone new desks. That's pretty dope. You know, do we need, you know, new monitors? Do we need new computers? Like now we have the ability to go and buy that stuff. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, you know, because it's like we worked hard for that profit, and we have the ability to go and spend that on things that will, one, make the team happy, but also, you know, build the business in a better way. Or, you know, at the end of the day, it is your business. And if you're like, hey, like this 5% profit, like we're just giving it to the C-suite team, you know, that is your ability to do that. Like it's your company, you take the risk. And so if you're like, hey, like this is going to be my bonus, great. You take a nice little owner's draw and utilize that. So, but yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just, you know, you either have to study and learn these things yourself, and you'll learn it eventually. Or you can fast track. And I think the number one lesson that I've learned since kind of like being in the agency space and growing is it's really the relationships that you build in the rooms that you can get in. If you guys are not investing into some sort of mastermind, which it seems like, you know, you guys are in this one, which is great. But if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find different rooms.
Right. None of the people on this call have that problem, fortunately. I'm just kidding. Joshua, what are some of the big mistakes that you see, like the small to medium size marketing agency make?
Man, so leads is the number one thing. So whenever people come to me, their number one thing, I normally have them fill out a form of like, hey, like, what are your biggest pain points? Oh, we don't have enough leads. Chances are leads are not your problem. If you have a client base and you're constantly hungry for leads, it probably means you have a churn issue, which pretty much means that you're leaking clients. People are leaving you in a short amount of time. So you need to figure out what your churn rate is, be able to kind of project like, hey, like, we lose one client a month. Okay, great. Well, if you're not getting any leads, then sure. Okay, you have a lead problem. But if you're getting leads and you're landing sales, but you're not going anywhere each month, well, you got a client success problem somewhere. It's either, you're failing to fulfill on what you promised on the sales side, or on the back end, it's just like, the communication is bad. Like there's a disconnect somewhere because clients are leaving you. Okay. Most of us have enough leads to generate a growing business. It's just, we're losing clients faster than we're actually signing them, or we're losing them at the same rate that we're signing them, and we're spinning our tires. And so, I would say like, that's the number one mistake I see, is that we get so focused and dialed in on when is the next lead coming in, that we totally forget about the people that are currently paying us. And that's the key. The ones that are paying your bills, putting food on your table for you, you need to give them the best experience possible and create what I call client advocates. And these advocates go to bat for you because the service that you're providing is game changing for them. It's putting food on their families' tables. And so when you have the ability to do that and you have really great success with your clients, they go to bat for you and they introduce you to new people. And those leads, they're like, essentially what happens is the conversation goes just like this. Hey, Patrick, I've noticed that your business is growing tremendously. And, it seems like you're happier, having more success. Like, what are you doing? Oh, well, actually, I've been working with Josh for, the last 3 months, and he helped us instill some new systems, and I'm working 20 less hours a week. And, I've got more time freedom to hang out with my wife. Like it's been incredible. Okay. Oh, sweet. Like, that sounds awesome. I feel like I need something like that as well. Can you introduce me to him? Sweet.
Right, so
now
this
you've
is-
got this hot lead coming in, and it's like, it's an easiest sell ever. When Patrick introduces me to someone else, and I'm just like, yeah, like, this is what we do. And like, I don't really even have to tell them because Patrick already told them all about it. It's
Right.
just like, they just want to sign up. So
that third party approval from a trusted person is huge. And, we've mentioned this in our, we've talked about this on a lot of calls in our agency. Our biggest problem is probably fulfillment. We don't have a lot of churn, and we get referrals nonstop, right? So we don't do advertising because we get so many referrals that it's hard for our fulfillment team to keep up, right? And we've made a lot of super fans, and we've kind of got our systems to a spot where things have moved to this, where this business is going to grow on its own. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have problems, right? There's like, I'm considering, hiring somebody as a fractional COO to help me out so that I can streamline this even more. There's a lot of things that Joshua is talking about, and we've been very kind of simplistic with it. But over the last couple months, I've been pushing to you guys to really know your numbers and kind of like start measuring things. So when Joshua was talking about churn rate, and like that's a number, right? Like it has a name, but what is that number? What is it? What's the lifetime value of your clients as you bring them on? How long do they last on average, right? These are the types of things that you need to track to be able to set up a baseline to understand where they should be and if they're improving based on the efforts that you're taking, right? So one of the things that the COO does is he's going to help you set up these metrics, KPIs, right? To help you understand where you are. And I've encouraged you guys should be measuring everything. Measure as much as you can. That makes sense. Like, obviously we don't need to measure how long it takes us to walk to the car on the way in the office, right? But measuring stuff within our business so that we can have real numbers and make data-driven decisions. So I'm guilty of being kind of a gunslinger with my business. So like when I first started, I didn't have this business background to make decisions based on data, but I had good intuition where it's like, hey, can get you, I can make this decision and move in the right direction. And it's worked well enough to get us here. One of the valuable pieces that I took away from this conference last week was the things that if you hit a plateau, every time you hit a plateau, things have to change for you to get through the plateau. So the things that got you, what this guy said, who's teaching on leadership, the things that got you to where you are unlikely to be the exact same things that are going to get you to where you need to go in the future. So you're going to have to leave some things behind. You're going to have to make some changes. For you guys that have been stuck where you are for a while, don't continue to try to do the same thing. Whether this is part of the solution or whether it's like getting the education necessary to understand business on a different level and kind of like zoom out a little bit, like 30,000 foot view, stop running around the track just nonstop and thinking that you're going to get somewhere new, right? Sometimes it's better to just like, hey, I'm running around in a circle. Let me just pause and zoom out and see where I'm actually trying to go. So for those of you guys that are participating in our accountability groups, right? That's what this is about, is you guys are setting up a goal and setting up like you're working backwards from your goal and with the date in mind to make sure that you stay on pace. Okay. Joshua, we usually try to keep these meetings at about an hour. So we got about 9 minutes left. Is there anything else you would like to add? Any last words of wisdom, advice for these people that are trying to grow these businesses?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys have to just have a really strong understanding of why you do what you do every day. If you kind of wake up every morning and it's just like, hey, like I'm just going to work to make money, it's pretty meaningless, right? Like I feel like there always needs to be like a deeper reason why we do what we do every day. So always tap back into that for a little extra motivation and the direction that you're actually carrying your company in. For us, like we don't just consult on operations, like, we help provide clean drinking water to people in need. Like that's our whole, MO is that, we're going to help people that need it. So, and then as far as like, other resources, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I have a free course inside of the link in my bio that you guys can snag. It's a 3-module course. It'll just get you started on the systems piece of your business. It's, each module is like probably 20 to 30 minutes long. And, that's kind of my gift to you guys, just hanging out in this room today. So if you guys want access to that, it is there for you. Enjoy it. There's no pitch. You'll probably get some emails from me, but that's pretty much it. So
The marketer, he's got a funnel. Yes, you guys, I will, I'll get Joshua's Instagram information and I'll share it within the group. You guys, we're gonna sign off here in just a minute. I want to ask, let's open it up for questions for a couple minutes. Does anyone have any questions for Joshua? Joshua, I see here, what's a good place to get your payments sent to make tax paying easy?
yeah, I mean, I would just hire a tax strategist of some sort. It's not that expensive. You can have your taxes done for like $500 every year. I don't know. Like if you're a business owner, don't do your own taxes unless you're like a nut about taxes and you're like, you've studied the tax code and all of that. It's like, get it off your plate. Someone can do it better than you can for, $500. So,
Right.
One of the first things that you should be delegating in your business is taxes. So, I don't know, just Google, tax strategist in my area or tax strategist and, find someone that you jive with and has a good experience. I like to look for people that have like worked for the IRS in the past, because they tend to know all of the cheat codes, of, all the little things that you can take advantage of. So.
Smart. Yeah. Another question. Are there examples of org charts or systems from famous businesses that we can look at online somewhere?
From famous businesses?
I think maybe efficient businesses or.
Yeah. I don't know of like any like really good resource of like, like where you could find org charts, but most of your like really big famous businesses, their org charts are going to be a little wonky. Just because like, if you look at Tesla's org chart, it's going to probably be pretty insane. So with that being said, there's a ton of great resources out there. The first place that I would kind of look is Scaling Up. That book has some great org charts within it to kind of show you, some of the ways that they're setting up their business. So that's a really great one. And then, Mike McAllowitz, I think it's Clockwork, has some really great planning tools in it for starting your org charts. So check those out. Those are really solid ones.
Excellent. Yeah, another one is the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Mm-hmm.
That he goes through and kind of explains how you should build your org chart. So there's obviously like resources to do it online, but one of the strategies that I did when I first started this business is I kind of broke up all the different responsibilities that were in my agency and I gave them a title. And so for instance, if it means that in our business, we have like a content writer, that would be one of the positions in our business. And maybe another one that's going to create backlinks for us, right? And we have a salesperson. We have somebody that needs a client manager. If any of you guys have clients, a client manager should be a spot on your org chart. So what you do is you write this out, you draw a bunch of squares, and everything that is done in your business needs to be represented by one of these roles. And then within those roles, you're going to list off the responsibilities of those roles. Okay, so you're starting to get like a framework of all the different things that are done within your business. And if you're the only person in your company, what you're going to do this in pencil, go through and write your name on all the different roles. And then you can kind of start to pick these things off, right? And you could say, hey, I'm going to replace myself. I'm going to put this person in this position. And now they know exactly what their roles are. We've got those defined. So that's an exercise from the E-Myth Revisited. That's available in both audiobook and written book. I really like the audiobook. The guy who reads it delivers it really well. And it's one of those books that is digestible by audiobook. Okay, cool. So I don't see any other questions on here. I think we're good to go. I want to ask a couple of you guys. Joshua, first of all, thank you so much.
Hey, you're
I
welcome.
hope that you guys got some value from this. I know that.
Oh, Patrick, you muted yourself.
I don't know how that happened. All right, sorry. I hope you guys got some value from Joshua. I know that we're all in different places, and but just getting your mind around where you need to go. It's hard to get there if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a path, and understanding the different parts and pieces of your business. It's important to get that stuff from the beginning. And if you're further along and you haven't done some of this, then it's probably time, right? It's probably time to start to get an understanding. Check out some of the books that Joshua's recommended. I'm going to do this myself. I didn't know that this course was available. I'm going to go through and stalk Joshua on Instagram and get his like free course and go from there. But before we sign off, one thing I want to do, I want to talk to you guys real quick about the people that are in the accountability groups. I just want to get like a speed round of how that's going, where you guys are. I know Devin, you're involved. Lawrence, Neil. Let me switch this back to gallery, see who else we have here. So Devin, how's it going in the accountability group? Is this been helpful for you? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, having to answer to someone each week in regards to your actions really puts it in perspective what's worth actually doing to make progress, for sure.
Right on. Excellent. What about you, Neil? You're muted.
Well, I'd have to answer to Devin if I don't get my stuff done right. So
Yeah, no one wants to have to do that, right?
no, I mean, it's really like Devin said, it gives me the more incentive to get things done, because I don't want to disappoint people in my group, and I don't want to disappoint myself either.
Right.
So it's
Does it matter
definitely-
to you guys? Has it made a difference to you guys kind of like having this like schedule of where you're supposed to be when? Do you feel the impact from that part of it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Eugene, are you involved in the accountability groups too, Mr. Slash?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I like the personal planner and stuff that you gave us, and how you made us chunk it off into like the, to have the weekly goals and stuff like that. So that's kind of helped me like stay on track for sure.
Awesome.
And,
Are you on pace or are you off pace?
Most of the stuff I'm on pace. Maybe I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'll like kind of focus on one thing for a week and then go really hard on it.
Right.
And then actually what I'm doing right now is, I just finished reading E-Myth as well. So it's kind of good timing for this talk today.
Awesome.
And so like I'm putting some trainings together. I'm trying to hire one more person to bring on the team right now. So just putting that training together. And so, but yeah, I think I'm overall, like, I think I'm on pace for for what I said I wanted to do. So
Awesome. Awesome. Devin, are you on or off pace?
I'm ahead of pace.
You're ahead of pace. Excellent. Neil, I know part of yours was weight loss. You were struggling
Yeah.
with that for a minute. Are you back on pace?
Well, I'm getting there. I hired a personal trainer and
Good man.
back to the gym because of this group. I'm
Yeah.
ahead. I'm ahead on one of the other ones is linear. And then as far as some of the stuff that's kind of out of my control, I'm getting more X amount of paying clients and some additional training that I need to get done. I'm right about there.
Awesome. Awesome. What about Mr. Laurent?
So I'm on track too, and I think it's not only forcing ourselves to be accountable to each other, but it's also the help, the support that we're getting from other people, which is interesting.
Yeah, awesome. So for those of you guys who didn't participate in this, whether you're on this live now, you're in the Facebook group watching, or you're watching the recording, we're going to do another one of these. And I want to make it clear, there's a couple people that I've talked to that have kind of felt like, you know what, I don't really have a business yet. I'm still getting started. And that's okay. Like, we're going to do this again. This one's going to end on December 31st, right? And the next one's going to start on January 1st, right? This is what you're going to find here, is that this becomes like a lifestyle. And regardless of where you are in your business, now I intentionally said, don't set all professional goals when you set this up. Like Neil here, who's got a weight loss goal, I think he has some professional goals mixed in there. Making this shift. They say that, I was reading a book the other day, and they said that 90% of studies on productivity have shown that when things are tracked and you're held accountable for them, the productivity is higher. 90% of all studies that have been done on this, that's been the case. So if you guys aren't doing this, you're not a part of this group now, that's fine. Maybe you can set some stuff up. We've got a few days before November starts, right? So just getting in the habit of it is going to move you along. And if the stuff is important to you, writing it down and kind of working backwards for what you want to achieve. So again, if Neil wants to lose 10 pounds in November, then on November 15th, if this is a linear goal, he should be at 5 pounds. We don't need, like, you can put that into place even if you're not a part of these accountability groups. And then I want you guys that want to participate in the next one, be ready. So you've got like, 60 something days before the end of the year. We'll have another one. Get yourself prepared, even if you don't have a growing business, even if you're like, whatever it is, get into this mindset. This is how people operate. For the group that Joshua and I are in, these people are organized with their day. They're structured, right? They're not only structured with their business, they're structured with their life. And because of that, they get to reap the benefits of like having a planned attack on what we're going to do. So, all right, guys, we're just over an hour. I know that we didn't really get into anything with the software. For those of you guys that are in Australia and the UK that are trying to buy phone numbers, we had the issue. We almost have it resolved with purchasing phone numbers from those countries. South Africa, I think, is going to require like an ID to be submitted to be able to do that. So, obviously we dropped a lot of functionality in here in the last few weeks, and that creates a little bit of stress on our end. We're working through it. For those of you guys in the United States, I don't know of any known issues. Eugene, I think you had one question that we haven't responded to about the automations not working correctly. I'll follow up with you on that one. We'll get that one sorted out. But for the rest of you guys, we only had a few wins this week. I want you guys to take this next 7 days. I know we got Halloween and we got the holidays coming up. So like when you start evaluating what's left in this year, if you're going to take time off for the holidays, we don't have a ton of time left. So use this next 7 days for you guys to put yourself in the situation where next Wednesday at this same time, we have some wins that we can share. Take the actions that are necessary to create the wins. All right. And let's move this stuff forward. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed Joshua. Joshua, thanks again so much. We really appreciate you having on, trying to help us understand this better. And right on. Look, they love you, right?
Love it. Thanks,
out.
Guys. Appreciate it.
Wait,
Thanks.
real quick, Josh, what was your Instagram handle again? I couldn't find you looking at your name.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat real quick because it's kind of a nightmare to spell.
And I'll also share this for those of you guys that are not in the for those of you guys watching on Facebook that are not on the Zoom, I'll drop this into the Facebook within the description of the video so that you guys can follow Joshua. So, you know, we've only known each other for what, like a month or two now?
Yeah,
But,
yeah, something like that.
so far he checks out. Just leave you
So
with
far.
that disclaimer.
I appreciate it.
All right. All right, cool guys. You guys have a great week and we'll see you in the group. Thanks a lot.
All right, see you, everybody. Thanks, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, see you guys.
Thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.